Goblin launch detected.
This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. With free weekly content and free shipping over $100, you can save 5% site-wide by using the promo code MTGMudsta. I'm also sponsored by Face to Face Games, Canada's premier Magic the Gathering store. Using the promo code MTGMudsta will get you 5% off site-wide, with eligible orders getting free shipping Canada-wide. If you're looking for a direct way to help the channel, please consider joining my Patreon and becoming a member of the generic Goblin Gang. Hey gang, just so you know, the Folio Portfolio number 2 is now available on Kickstarter. With sweet art like Sylvan Tutor, Chaos Warp, Bottle Gnomes, Infernal Darkness, Orcish Librarian, and Puzzle Box, there's sure to be something for everyone. It's running until November 18th at 10 PM PST, and be sure to use my affiliate link below when you pledge to back this project. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's game is another Precon special, with us playing the Dominaria United decks. Unfortunately, there were only 2 of them, so we've brought back some of the Baldur's Gate precons to match up against them. Mika is playing the Jared Carthalion 5-color Painbow deck, while Kevin is playing Dihada, Binder of Wills. Maximus is playing Nalia Diarnese, and I'm playing Captain Angathrod. Maximus wins the die roll and starts us off. He plays a swamp, passing. Mika draws and plays a forest. Kevin plays a Temple of Malice, which comes in tapped and scries 1. I play a swamp as well. Maximus draws and plays a multi-class Baldric, and then plays Orzhov Basilica, bouncing a swamp to his hand. Mika plays Exotic Orchard and casts Felwar Stone. Kevin plays a Reliquary Tower and casts a Knight's Whisper, drawing 2 and losing 2. He then discards down to hand size, pitching Zatalpa. I draw and play a Swamp. I then cast Mind Stone and pass. Maximus draws, playing a Starlit Sanctum, and casts Nalia before passing to Mika. Mika draws and plays an island, and then casts Explosive Vegetation, finding 2 more basics. Kevin just plays a tap Dragonskull Summit. I play a swamp and cast Siphon Mind, and have each of my opponents discard a card while I draw 3. I then discard down to hand size. Maximus draws, playing a swamp. He suits up Nalia with the multi-class Baldric, and swings her at Kevin for 3. After that, he looks at the top of his deck a few times. Mika draws and plays a Path of the World Tree, grabbing a forest and playing it for turn. He casts a Commander Sphere, and then Silvala, Explorer returned. Kevin draws, playing Hazoret's Monument. He has no land drop though, and passes to me. I draw and play a Tap Choke Estuary. Maximus plays a Plains and casts a Solemn Doom Guide, and then goes to combat. He swings Nalia at Mika, dealing 3 and gaining 3 since she now has lifelink. He then passes after that. Mika draws, and then activates Silvala. She reveals 1 non-land card for a green mana and 1 life, and Mika then plays a Sandstep Citadel which comes in tapped. He uses the green to help cast Jared Carthalion, and then upticks the Planeswalker, making a 5-color Kavu. Kevin draws and plays a Plains. He plays Kadric, rummaging off the Hazoret's Monument and passing. I draw and play a Swamp. I cast Extract from Darkness and grab Zatalpa from Kevin's graveyard after milling, and pass the turn. Max draws and goes to combat. He swings the Solemn Doom Guide at Jared and Nalia at Kevin, and they both take the hits. After that, Max casts Stick Together, wiping the board except for his creatures and Kadric. He then plays a Tap Myriad Landscape and passes. Mika draws and upticks Jared, making a Kavu, and then plays a giant Primeval Spawn from hand. After that, he passes. Kevin plays Adriana, rummaging off the monument again, and then goes to combat. he swings Cadric at Maximus, who takes the hit, and Kevin passes. I play an island, and cast an ever-flowing Chalice, kick 3 times. I then cast a Spellskite, and crack my Mind Stone to draw a card. Maximus draws and plays a Solemn Recruit, and makes a deal with Mika to avoid the Primeval spawn. He swings Nalia at me, and the Doom Guide at Kevin, and we both take the hits. After that, Maximus plays a Windbrisk Heights, hiding away a card, and passing. Mika draws and plays a Sunken Hollow. He downticks Jared to put 5 +1/+1 counters onto the Primeval Spawn and Kavu, and then recasts Jared and downticks him again, adding 5 more +1/+1 counters to each of them. Going to combat, he swings the Spawn at me and the Kavu at Kevin, and we each take a huge hit, and he passes after that. Kevin draws and plays a Plains, and puts to stack an Urza's Ruinous Blast, which I'm so happy to see. This wipes away Mika's scary board, and with it leaving play, the Primeval Spawn triggers. He chooses to cast Absent Charm, Jensen Carthelion, Path to Exile, and Zakara. He targets Cadric with the Path, and the Absent Charm goes on Nalia, and the other 2 come into play. With the board wipe then resolved, Kevin moves to combat and swings Adriana at Jared. And Mika trades with Zakara, and Kevin passes. I draw and cast Demir's Signet. In response, Max activates the Myriad Landscape, going to find 2 basics. I then play my commander and pass. Maximus draws and replays Nalia, looking at his top card. He plays a High Priest of Penance off the top, and then plays a Swamp for turn, and passes. During his end step, Mika cycles Migration Path to draw a card. Mika draws and plays a Painful Truths, losing 3 and drawing 3. He upticks Jared for a Kavu, and then casts a Fusion Elemental, scrying 1 and making an Angel off of Jensen. Going to combat, he swings Jensen at Kevin to deal 2. Kevin draws and plays a Battlefield Forge, and then casts Dihada. He downticks her to flip the top 4, opting to put all 4 cards into his graveyard and making 4 treasures. He then plays Alesha, who smiles at death, and passes turn. I draw and play a Swamp. I then cast a Ravenous Chupacabra and take out Jensen as it enters, and pass to Maximus. Maximus's turn has a Direfleet Ravager come off the top of his library and into play, and has everyone lose a third of their life total. He follows up with a Barakos, and has a full party at this point, and tries to make some deals. Mika declines to take it, while I jump on the opportunity to not get hit, so Maximus goes to combat and puts a +1/+1 counter onto each of his creatures thanks to Nalia. He swings Nalia at Jared, and Mika trades her off with an Angel. Max then sends her to the graveyard, and plays a Mortuary Mire to put her back on top, and passes turn. Mika draws, and once more downticks Jared again to put 5 more +1/+1 counters onto his 2 5-color creatures. He then mutates a Luna onto the Kavu, flipping into a Chromanticore and casting it. Going to combat, Mika swings a Luna at Max and deals 11, while the Fusion Elemental goes at me. Max takes the hit, and I chump with my Chupacabra, and after that, Mika passes. Kevin draws and plays a Swamp for turn, and then plays a Blackblade Reforge and equips it to Alesha. He then upticks Dihada, giving Alesha Vigilance, Lifelink, and Indestructible. Going to combat, he swings Alesha at Mika, putting the Bell Borka into play with the trigger, and he has Borka coming at me as a 0/5. Mika takes the hit, and Kevin gains a precious 13 life to keep him in the game. He then passes after that. I draw and play a Sunken Hollow, and go to combat as well. I swing my commander at Kevin, dealing 3 and having him mill 3 cards, hitting Varaka and Ashling the Pilgrim. I then cast a Thought Vessel and a Black Market before moving to my end step, stealing Varaka from Kevin and passing. Maximus draws, and once more recasts Nalia. He plays a Mutavault and activates it before going to combat, and then Nalia's trigger goes off, putting a +1/+1 counter onto his team. He swings the Dire Fleet Ravager and Barakos at Mika, dealing 4 off of Barakos' on-attack trigger and making 4 treasures. Mika then takes 14 in total with no blocks, and after that, Max casts a Corpse Augur and passes turn. Mika plays a Crystal Quarry as his land for turn, and casts Knight of the New Alara, pumping his team significantly. Moving to combat, he swings the 2 flyers at Max for lethal, and a Fusion Elemental at Kevin. With nothing to save him, Max sacrifices Barakos to the Starlit Sanctum, dealing 4 to Mika, and Kevin uses Generous Gift to save himself by destroying the Fusion Elemental. Maximus then gets taken out, and Mika passes to Kevin. Kevin exiles Moira, Urborg Haunt to Belborca and draws. He plays a Shivan Gorge, and downticks Dihada, revealing Kari Zev and 3 non-legendaries, binning them and making 3 treasures. He then plays Kari Zev, and rummages off the monument and goes to combat. He swings Alesha and Belborca at Mika, who blocks Belborca with the Chromanticore and chumps Alesha with the elephant token that Kevin had given him. After combat, Kevin casts an Unbreakable Formation, and then casts Kaya's Wrath as a do-it-yourself Plague Wind. Everyone else's board gets wiped at this point, and Kevin passes to me. In my main phase, I get 9 black mana off the Black Market trigger, and use it to cast an Uchalan, and then recast my commander, and pass turn. Mika draws, and plays a Mountain Valley, which comes in tapped. He replays Jared for the 3rd time, and upticks him to make a Kavu, and passes. Kevin upticks Dihada in his main phase, and tries to give Alesha keyword soup. I respond to the trigger by casting Curtain's Call, and take out Alesha and the Kavu. After that, Kevin moves the Blackblade over onto Kari Zev. Going to combat, Kevin swings Kari Zev, and makes a Ravagan token at Mika, who drops down to 10 after taking the hit. My turn has me drawing and going straight to combat, and I swing my commander and the Uchalan at Mika. Before damage, I flash in an Aboleth Spawn, pumping up the Uchalan a bit and dealing a total of 6. This has Mika milling 6 as well, and as we move to my end step, I exile Alesha with the Uchalan trigger and get Xyrus off of Mika. Mika draws and plays a Swamp. He ultimates Jared, returning Chromanticore to his hand, and draws a card and makes 2 treasures. He follows it up with a Baleful Strix, drawing a card, which lets me draw a card as well from the Aboleth Spawn. I also get to make 2 snake tokens as well thanks to Xyrus. Mika then plays an Iridium Maelstrom, and I respond by casting Memory Plunder on Kevin's Unbreakable Formation, and save my team while the rest get wiped away. Mika then finishes things off by recasting the Chromanticore, and passes to Kevin. Kevin draws and downticks Dihada again, and then recasts her and downticks her once more, making even more treasures. This time though, she at least reveals Shanid, Avrid the Cursed, and Tajik, Blade of the Legion, which go to his hand as he makes 1 treasure. Kevin then casts Tajik and Shanid, and moves the Blackblade over onto Shanid before passing to me. I draw and make a ton of black mana off of Black Market, using some of it for Feed the Swarm to take out Shanid. I then play Haunted One and go to combat, swinging out at Mika and Kevin. With my team getting Menace from the Haunted One trigger, I'm able to sneak past any blockers and take them both out for the win. Game review time. That Jared Carthalion deck was interesting to see. I like the turn that Mika was able to downtick him twice, giving his creatures 10 +1/+1 counters, but I can imagine a 5-color deck, especially with the limited land base, can sometimes be a bit finicky. I think the Dihada and Shanid deck is definitely more on my speed, playing into a theme, which in this case is legendary, not to mention that Dihada's abilities are very, very strong. Her uptick helps gain some life and makes you swing in without having to worry about blockers, and her downtick can either get you legendaries, which is what you want, or help you ramp into ones you already have by making treasures. We again also got to see how powerful that party time deck was, and I think Maximus was definitely the main threat for most of the game. The stick together board wipe was particularly brutal, as it left him with a pretty powerful board, while nearly everyone else is almost completely open. I kind of feel like I stole that win. I just had the right card at the right time, and I didn't do any of the damage really, outside of a few hits here and there with my commander, and stealing some creatures which didn't last very long. That being said, I think the Mind Flayer's deck is probably one of the better ones, and actually all the Baldur's Gate ones are pretty fun. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.